There is a frequency of being, a vibration so potent that it renders conventional power obsolete. It is a trait more terrifying than cruelty, more destabilizing than rebellion, more influential than genius, and more commanding than all the world's accumulated wealth. This divine attribute is fearlessness. But this is not the boisterous courage of the fool, flaunted by those who have never truly faced the abyss. Nor is it the loud posturing of warriors who shout to conceal the trembling in their own hearts. No, this is the chilling stillness of the soul that has faced oblivion and returned with its secrets. It is the cold, silent, and absolute fearlessness possessed only by those who have systematically burned every bridge behind them, who have executed every last shred of hesitation, and who have buried their conscience deep in the earth in the sacred name of power. This is the state of being Machiavelli revered, a spiritual armor so impenetrable that it makes kings sleep with one eye open and turns the humblest of servants into shadow rulers. It is not about bravery. It is about a profound numbness, an awakening to a reality where failure, betrayal, loss, and even death are merely data points on a map you alone can read. You become untouchable, not because you are divinely protected, but because the universe can no longer find anything left within you to take away. If this deep knowing resonates within your soul, if you have ever felt this strange, cold fire awaken within you, then you have found your tribe. Acknowledge your presence. Like, subscribe, and share your journey in the comments below, for the universe listens when kindred spirits speak. Most people do not truly live, they survive. Their existence is a fragile tapestry woven from one fearful decision to the next, a constant negotiation with the ghosts of what might go wrong. Do you feel it? Fear is the invisible prison, the psychic leash that binds the masses to a predictable and muted existence. It is the architect of mediocrity, the silent governor of untapped potential. This fear is a system, a grand and subtle hierarchy of control that operates in the shadows of the collective consciousness. It is the unseen force that compels men to follow weak leaders, believing their commands offer a sanctuary from the unknown. It is the cold hand that grips the soldier in battle, turning a moment of destiny into one of fatal hesitation. And in your own life, can you not see its influence? It is the reason you remain silent when your soul screams to speak, the reason you obey when your spirit yearns to rebel, the reason you crawl when your destiny is to strike. Fear is not merely a feeling, it is a program, a societal script handed down through generations, designed to keep the divine power within you dormant and manageable. It whispers of safety in conformity, of solace in the familiar, and of danger in the brilliant light of your own authentic self. The world runs on this spiritual currency, the fear of being cancelled, the fear of being poor, the fear of rejection, the fear of standing utterly and magnificently alone. Your decisions are not your own. They are the calculated outcomes of a fear-based algorithm. You do not chase your goals with divine abandon. You negotiate with your insecurities, settling for a life that is a pale echo of the one your higher self intended for you. Every move you make, every word you withhold, is an escape from discomfort, a retreat from the sacred fire of transformation. Machiavelli understood this spiritual dynamic better than anyone. He did not romanticize fear. He dissected it, studied its anatomy, and revealed it for what it is, the ultimate lever of control. He knew that rulers use it to command their subjects, and that weak minds surrender their own power to anyone who promises to shield them from it. But here lies the sacred secret, the key to unlocking the prison. If you do not master this system, you will live and die as a pawn within it. The first step to awakening your true power is not found in the fleeting warmth of confidence, but in the cold, deliberate act of killing fear. You must murder it. You must erase it. You must perform a spiritual exorcism and burn it out of your system entirely. For as long as fear lives within your vessel, true, unassailable power cannot coexist. You will never be truly feared, and therefore never truly respected, until you feel absolutely nothing in the face of what once paralyzed you. But how do you conquer this ancient tyrant? You don't conquer fear by avoiding it. You don't overcome it with gentle meditations or hollow affirmations. That is the path of the weak. a weakness disguised as wisdom. Machiavelli would laugh at such softness. You conquer fear by strangling it, by confronting it in the darkness until it stops breathing. It is a brutal process, but divinity is forged in fire, not in comfort. So, how do you begin this sacred hunt? You begin not with courage, but with cold, hard calculation. Fear thrives in the fertile soil of uncertainty. It grows like a weed in the unknown, in the chaotic tempest of emotion. Therefore, the first step in your Machiavellian transformation is to turn your fear into data. Transmute the chaotic energy of emotion into something that can be dissected, studied, and used. Every time you feel that familiar chill of fear, stop. Ask yourself, with the detachment of a scientist, what exactly am I afraid of? Is it the loss of money? The tarnishing of a reputation? The forfeiture of comfort or status? Break it down. Strip it of its illusory power, and what will you find? You will notice that your fear is rarely about an objective reality. It is about your ego. You are not truly afraid of losing. You are afraid of looking like a loser. You are not afraid of rejection. You are terrified that your carefully constructed self-image will crack under scrutiny. You are not afraid of danger. You are afraid of how you will be seen by others after you fail to avoid it. This is not fear. This is vanity. And vanity is easy to kill. The moment you stop giving a damn about what other people think, you begin to reclaim your divine sovereignty. Machiavelli knew this. He understood that a man ruled by the opinion of others is already conquered. He doesn't need an external enemy. His desire to be liked is the chain that will enslave him for a lifetime. So, what is the transformation? What is the sacred path from pawn to king? Step 1. You must brutally crush your addiction to approval. This is your first divine mandate. Stop apologizing for your ambition. Stop softening your voice to be accepted by those who will never understand your journey. Stop asking for permission to be dangerous. The moment you stop fearing disapproval, you unlock the most terrifying power of all. Freedom. Freedom to act without hesitation. Freedom to speak without filters. Freedom to execute your will without the poison of guilt. Now, let's go deeper. Step 2. You must expose yourself to controlled confrontation. Fear survives and thrives in the warm, stagnant waters of comfort. If you wish to kill it, you must become a deliberate hunter of discomfort. You must train violently now, so that when the true battle arrives, your spirit is calm and your hand is steady. Start small. Speak up when you're afraid to. Disagree when you are expected to conform. Take calculated actions that challenge your perceived identity. You must build a habit of attacking what frightens you before it has a chance to attack you. Machiavelli understood that small rebellions harden the spirit. Small, calculated risks prepare you for larger conquests. If you cannot stand the heat of a simple meeting, how will you survive the inferno of politics and betrayal? Remember this, fear dies when you bleed in training. Now, the third step is the most brutal, but it is essential. Step 3. Detach completely from the outcome. Fear survives because you are energetically attached to a result. You crave success, you yearn for love, you demand respect, you need control, and the thought of losing any of it paralyzes you. This is your weakness. This is the predictable pattern that allows others to manipulate you. But when you detach, when you no longer fear loss, you become a spiritual paradox. You become the man who could lose everything and remain fundamentally unchanged. And that is what terrifies people. That is what creates true influence. When you cannot be rattled, you cannot be manipulated. When you cannot be baited, you cannot be trapped. When you cannot be threatened, you become untouchable. That is power. And here is the final step of your transformation, the Machiavellian finish. Step 4. Weaponize your lack of fear. Once you have successfully executed the fear inside yourself, you begin to use it as a weapon against others. You become unpredictable. You act with a speed and decisiveness that others, mired in their hesitations, cannot comprehend. You move without hesitation, without mercy. People will begin to fear your silence, your movements, your very presence, because they will intuitively realize that you do not care about their rules. You do not respond to their emotional manipulations. You do not flinch when challenged. You only move when it is strategic. Machiavelli didn't admire cruelty for its own sake. He admired absolute control, and fearlessness is the divine foundation of that control. Imagine walking into any room and knowing, with absolute certainty, that no one there can shake you. Imagine making a decision with zero doubt, because you have already rehearsed every possible failure in your mind and have decided that none of them matter. Imagine confronting your greatest enemy and feeling nothing but a cold, clear focus. That is the man Machiavelli writes for. Not the good man, not the cautious man, but the effective man, the man who feels nothing when it is time to act. Because once fear is dead, you become something far more terrifying than brave. You become inevitable. Once fear dies, something else must take its place. And for the truly powerful, that replacement is a cold, calculated ruthlessness. Because without fear, you no longer hesitate. Without hesitation, you act. And when you act without hesitation, mercy becomes a weakness you simply cannot afford. Machiavelli said it clearly. It is much safer to be feared than loved. But he didn't stop there. He showed us why mercy, when used at the wrong time, is a form of spiritual suicide. Mercy is only praised by those who are too weak to be dangerous. The masses beg for kindness, not because they deserve it, but because they hope it will protect them from the justice and the consequences they know they have earned. But the ruler, the strategist, the true player of power, does not give mercy because it feels good. He gives it only when it serves a strategic purpose. And when it doesn't, he removes the problem entirely. You see, once you've killed fear within yourself, you will be tempted to return to old habits, to give second chances, to delay punishment, to explain yourself to people who do not matter. That is the residue from your old, fearful self. Burn it. The fearless man must learn the next law of power: never hesitate to destroy. When someone threatens your position, tarnishes your name, leaks your plans, or disrespects your authority, you respond not with emotion, but with elimination, quiet, total, and final. This is not cruelty, this is strategy, because power is not sustained by being liked, it is sustained by being untouchable. And untouchable men do not play defense. They remove liabilities before they become threats. Let's break it down, Machiavelli style. 1. Mercy makes you look uncertain. When you spare someone who deserved punishment, it signals to everyone else that you lack resolve, that you can be swayed, that you feel guilt. And once people sense guilt in a powerful man, they will press on it like a fresh bruise. 2. Mercy invites betrayal. The people you spare will not thank you. They will see your forgiveness as a sign of softness, an opportunity, and they will wait for the next moment to strike. Machiavelli warned that those who benefit from your mercy often become the ones who resent your power the most. 3. Mercy delays the inevitable. The problem you refuse to deal with now will only return stronger. It will cost more to eliminate later. Weakness compounds and delay multiplies destruction. You must understand this. The fearful man shows mercy to feel safe. The fearless man shows no mercy because he is already safe. Let the others cry for justice. Let them call you cruel. Let them paint you as a villain. So be it. They don't understand the game. They don't realize that power isn't preserved through fairness. It is preserved through absolute control. And control requires ruthlessness, not constant violence, not chaos, but strategic brutality, cold and surgical. You don't punish out of anger. You punish out of necessity. You cut off fingers to save the hand. You remove a traitor before they infect your inner circle. Machiavelli admired Cesare Borgia because he understood this perfectly. When Borgia needed to restore order, he unleashed Ramiro di Orco, a brutal enforcer, to instill fear and obedience. And once the job was done, Borgia had him publicly executed to win the love of the people and demonstrate that he would tolerate no one who became too powerful. That is ruthless brilliance, and that is your path. Fearlessness comes at a cost, and that cost is isolation. When you no longer seek approval, you stop blending in. When you no longer crave security, you become a threat to those who live for it. And when you no longer fear being alone, you become untouchable. Machiavelli knew this cost well. He was exiled, slandered, and abandoned by the very powers he once advised, but he did not break. Why? Because solitude, to a fearless man, is not a punishment, it is a sharpening stone. The weak seek crowds to hide their inadequacies. The strong build empires in silence. The truly powerful disappear to build worlds unseen. You must understand this. Fear binds people together. It's why they gossip, why they form weak alliances. They are united by mutual insecurity, each one terrified of being excluded, replaced, or forgotten. But when you kill fear, you no longer need the tribe. You no longer need company to feel strong. You no longer fear being left behind, because you have already chosen a path that leaves others behind. That is the beginning of true dominance. It's not about being loud, it's about being untethered. It's about detaching from the psychological chains that bind everyone else. The fear of abandonment, the fear of being misunderstood, the fear of being alone with your own thoughts. You must face it now. Complete detachment is not comfortable, but comfort is for cattle. Power requires a jagged edge. Ask yourself, why do so many strong men fall? Because they surround themselves with comfort, with yes men, with dependents who slowly rot their judgment. Machiavelli warned against this. He said, a ruler must always keep his circle small, his trust limited, and his mind his own. The moment you rely on others for your strength, you hand them the knife to cut your throat. The fearless man doesn't beg for loyalty or company. He doesn't chase love, validation, or support. He commands respect through silence, through results, through an unbreachable distance. And that distance is what people fear most. They will try to guilt you, saying you're disconnected, that you've lost touch, that you're too serious. Good, let them say it. What they are really saying is they don't understand that you are no longer playing by their rules. You are not in this world to be liked. You are here to be remembered. And those who are remembered are rarely surrounded by applause while they rise. You rise in silence. You conquer alone. Think of every historical titan. Napoleon, feared and alone. Julius Caesar, betrayed by friends. Machiavelli himself, writing alone in exile, crafting the blueprints of power while the world mocked him. That solitude, that exile, it forged clarity, ruthlessness, and mastery. If you want real power, you must choose this path, not once, but every single day. You will eat alone. You will make decisions that isolate you. You will break alliances when they no longer serve your purpose. You will walk out of rooms full of cowards. You will cut ties without apology. Because fearlessness demands focus, and focus demands distance. Only then will you see clearly. Only then will you act without delay. Only then will you be able to do what the fearful cannot, lead without needing anyone. So, when the loneliness comes, when the silence gets heavy, do not retreat. Do not run back to the hollow comfort of the crowd. Welcome it, for that silence is the echo of your evolution. It means fear is gone, and absolute power is taking its place. The price of fearlessness is solitude, but the reward is absolute freedom. You have killed your fear, you have accepted your isolation. You no longer flinch, apologize, or hesitate. Now, you enter the final phase. You become the fear. The moment you feel nothing, you begin to sense what others still feel, and you can use it against them. This is where power multiplies. This is where Machiavelli smiles from the shadows. Understand this. Fear is the most effective weapon ever invented. You don't need swords when you have silence. You don't need to attack when others paralyze themselves in your presence. Fear does your work for you if you learn how to craft it. Machiavelli didn't just study fear. He taught leaders how to engineer it. He knew people respond more to the potential of pain than to actual violence. They fear unpredictability. They fear mystery. They fear what they cannot calculate. And that is your new role. You are no longer just a man. You are a mirror in which others see their own weakness. So how do you wield fear like a weapon? Step 1. Become unreadable. Predictable men are manageable men. You must become a cipher, silent, calculating, smile less, speak less, reveal nothing. Let them wonder what you are thinking. Let them fill in the blanks with their own paranoia, and make sure what little you do reveal carries weight-controlled, deliberate weight. The moment people cannot predict your next move, they stop feeling safe around you, and when they feel unsafe, they obey. Step 2. Broadcast power, never emotion. Weak men express emotion first. Strong men broadcast consequence. When you enter a room, people should sense tension, not comfort, not because you are loud, but because you carry yourself like a man who does not play games. Make your presence a warning, not through theatrics, but through sheer control. The way you walk, sit, and look must signal, I see everything, I miss nothing, and I feel nothing. That is how tyrants rule without speaking. That is how kings win battles before they even begin. Step 3. Use fear to control outcomes. Once you understand what others fear, the fear of exclusion, of embarrassment, of being replaced, exposed, or demoted, use it. Mention things indirectly. Let them feel the heat without seeing the fire. Let them fear what might happen if they cross you, because in that ambiguity, you gain power. People do not follow strength, they follow what they fear losing. So do not threaten directly, imply. Let your silence carry the question. What happens if I decide you are a problem? They will answer it for you in their behavior. Step 4. Make an example. Eventually, someone will test you. Someone always does. When that moment comes, do not warn, do not explain, destroy, publicly. Make it fast, make it final, make it known. Let the others watch. Let them feel their own pulse quicken. Let them realize he does not bluff. That is how you turn fear from a feeling into a system. You create a hierarchy where people fall in line, not because you asked, but because they know what happens if they don't. This is not about cruelty, it is about control. Machiavelli warned that a prince who is not feared will sooner or later be overthrown. Fear is the shield behind the throne. It is the silence that surrounds the powerful. It is the pressure that keeps blades sheathed. So here is your reality now. You have no fear, but they do. And that fear, that is your currency, your weapon, your armor. The truly powerful don't fear pain, they manufacture it for others. They don't flinch, they make others flinch first. And that is the final evolution, not just to fear nothing, but to become the thing they all fear. Fear is the foundation of every weak life, every silent failure, every missed opportunity. It controls men more than laws, more than kings, more than God. But once you destroy it, you don't just become stronger, you become unrecognizable. You stop reacting like prey. You stop asking for permission. You no longer waste time on approval, safety, or social acceptance. Instead, you move with precision, quiet, calculated, and relentless. You don't announce your power. You let the silence around you speak for it. You cut off hesitation. You stop negotiating with your conscience. You stop explaining yourself to people who are already beneath you. You look the world in the eye and say, I don't fear you, I don't need you, and I am not waiting. When fear dies, ruthlessness is born, not chaos, not anger, but calm. Surgical power. You don't give mercy when it's undeserved. You remove threats before they take root. You don't flinch when betrayal strikes. You expected it. You don't fear isolation. You require it. While others chase applause, you build in silence. While they look for allies, you become a one-man system. You train yourself to act while they hesitate. You learn to sit alone while they panic in crowds. You detach from outcomes, from comfort, from the need to be seen. And in that silence, your power multiplies. You begin to see how fear governs everyone else, how it makes them predictable, emotional, and weak. And then comes your final transformation. You use their fear against them. You become unreadable, unpredictable, untouched. You never explain, never overplay your hand. You let your stillness become a question they cannot answer. You let your presence apply pressure without a word. You don't threaten, you imply. You don't fight often, but when you do, you finish it quickly. You make examples. You speak with action. You dominate without volume. You become the man they warn others about, the man who doesn't blink, doesn't stall, doesn't crack. People will obey, not because they like you, but because they do not know what will happen if they cross you. You don't fear consequences. You are the consequence. This is what Machiavelli understood. That fear, when mastered, becomes the deadliest weapon of all. Not because you use it on yourself, but because you surgically inject it into the hearts of others. That is the path, and that is your choice. You can stay average, led by emotion, seeking safety, addicted to being liked. Or you can burn all of that, kill your fear, and build something terrifying in its place. Something powerful, something permanent. If this message hit you where it matters, if it stirred something ruthless and cold inside you, do not scroll away. Subscribe. This isn't motivation. This isn't therapy. This is the cold blueprint for total control, for those who refuse to live as pawns. Welcome to the darker side of strength. Welcome to the silence behind true dominance. Welcome to Machiavelli,